Bing bong.
I don't watch or care about the Oscars at all. I will still check the results, but the actual ceremony, I don't care. And that's a bit of a bummer. Because now I find myself kind of wondering, like, is there any saving this show? Is there any way we can fix the Oscars? Because they've tried. They've tried different methods to sort of reel people back in. And every year, the ratings go down. I genuinely don't know what else you could do at this point to save this show. It's too long. There are too many categories that most people don't care about. Even if you are tuning into this show to see, a couple of the more mainstream categories, which they've trimmed down the categories a lot at this point, there's still stuff there that you don't give a shit about. I don't blame those people. I'm a real movie nerd, so stuff like editing and sound mixing and whatnot, I like to see who's nominated and what movies win for those categories. But, realistically, the only award, if we're being honest, that anyone would even sort of care about is Best Picture. And the only awards after that would be Best Actor and Actress. I think we're really fooling ourselves if we think that the vast majority of people actually care about any of the awards beyond those, later, bigger awards in the show. And if that's the case, I don't know how you fix this. We've sort of gotten to a point where the show's gotten too long. I remember watching it as a kid, and it would be 12:30, Eastern time, and they're just going up there to do the Best Picture announcement, which is like the show would start at like 7 or 8 o'clock. That's just too long. It's four plus hours of an award show, which is crazy for a predetermined show to last 4 hours. Also, they perform all of the song nominees, which I don't understand. Maybe if you win, then you perform the song. But to perform all of them, these are like, 4 or 5 minute Broadway performances. That takes up like half an hour of the show. Although I will say that's probably, I guess, one of the more interactive parts of the Oscars, even if it's not really something that I care about. I love Barbie, but I don't need to see Ryan Gosling perform. I'm just kidding. I saw it in the movie. I could watch it on YouTube right now. I don't need to see it again at the Oscars. It's cool. It's a cool thing, but I don't need to see it. And I think it's kind of part of where some of these issues come up from, is like the Oscars, I don't really think even they know who they're aiming the show at anymore. Because if you're like a diehard film person, then you'd want to see all of those awards, like really diehard. We're talking like makeup and hairstyling awards. Like you want to see them. If you're like a little bit more casual, Best Picture, the actresses, the actor stuff, cinematography, I guess. And that's probably it. Animated movie, foreign film. I mean, sure, I guess documentary. But again, like we're starting to get less people. People are less interested. I mean, if you ever look at the animated feature category, it's very rare that there are movies on there that deserve to be. A lot of times it feels like they're just trying to round it out, because I don't really think the Academy watches the animated movies, if I'm being completely honest. And if they did, they would put more of them in the Best Picture category. I don't know how movies like Across the Spider-Verse are not in the Best Picture category, but here we are. So how do you fix this? How do you take a show that has had declining ratings every single year for like a while and make it watchable again? Because it is possible, because the Grammys just had this problem, and somehow the ratings like shot up like 40% this year. So it's not like award shows are the issue. This isn't like they can't get people to watch award shows anymore. This is an Oscars specific problem. The truth is, I don't know. I am genuinely asking, how do you fix the Oscars? This is a show that used to be a big deal, a huge deal. And outside of viral moments, there's really no reason to watch the show anymore unless you genuinely really care about award shows. Unless you're just one of those people that really cares. I love movies. but I don't care about watching the Oscars. And I don't know what could get me to change my mind. They've tried introducing like different film categories. They're going to introduce another one next year that's like best ensemble. I don't know if the award categories is the issue, but this is where I go back to, I don't really think they know how to fix it, because they had a whole diversity movement where they brought in a bunch of, people who are minorities and overlooked in the film industry and whatnot to be voters. And I still end up disagreeing with most of the nominees and the winners and whatnot. So, it seems like they probably still have the same issues of, maybe some like backdoor favors going on and people winning or not getting nominated for certain reasons. I think we're just sort of at a point where maybe they skip a few years. Maybe some of the interest would reignite if they took a few years off and sort of revamped how they're going to do it. They tried not having a host anymore, and they've tried having two hosts at the same time, and it's hard to figure out, what do you do to make this show more interesting? I think a great first step would be to just make it shorter. Maybe if this was on streaming or something, this would be 2 hours. You get this show into 2 hours. That'd be great. I think that's probably long enough. We don't really need more than a 2-hour show for the Oscars. And other than that, I'm really not sure. There's a lot of categories. There are a lot of categories that are important for recognition. This show, I think, it's you know what it is? You know what it feels like to me? They tried too late. They tried too late in the game to revamp the show. And so it's really old. It's been really old for a long time. And there are a lot of people who tuned out, like me. And I think we've tuned out for so long now that I don't know if there's any getting us back at this point. And they're still trying, but they're trying too late. They didn't see the slow dip in viewership and think that there was a problem. It wasn't until there was like a dip every year for like 5 or 6 or 7 years in a row that they were like, oh shit, what do we do now? And it's like, I don't know, you should have been thinking about that after you noticed there was a dip 2 years in a row. You should have tried to do something. We've kind of reached a point where maybe specifically for movies, people just don't care about these shows anymore. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just don't care. A lot of the Grammys' interest is in the performances, which outside of best song nominees, what can you do performance-wise for the Oscars that would get people to stick around for this show? I don't know, you're gonna trot Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling out there to reenact a scene from Barbie, which actually, as I'm saying it, that sounds kind of interesting. So maybe that's the way. But there's not as much interactive that you can do to keep a show like that interesting for 3-4 hours. I just think that maybe it's too late. This is a little doom and gloom. Maybe it's too late. Maybe this is the version of the Oscars, and you're just gonna have to decide whether or not you want to watch it. Maybe the Oscars went forward this year and it was amazing, and there's a crazy spike in viewership because Will Smith comes out and slaps somebody else that he doesn't like. And I don't know, but I can't help but feel like this is going to be same thing it was last year. Oscars come and go. Article comes out the next morning because they can't wait. They can't wait. The ratings are down. They cannot wait to say that the Oscars suck. So article comes out and says, hey, Oscars are still bad. Nobody's watching the show, and the Academy is going to go ahead and add like 12 more categories, which again is like, you're going to make the show longer? That's the original problem, is that the show is too long. You don't need to keep adding categories. But yeah, I don't know. This is just a discussion video because I'm genuinely unsure what you do to save this award show. And if I'm being honest, I think it's probably too late.